saying Bolt's not going to win this competition. I should have had a proper meet with him. Damn.
So, ma'am, Kimberly Turner has asked me if the meets are compulsory or just the questions. Now,
What are just the questions? What does she mean? What questions?
I have no idea. That's all the message says.
Maybe she means like if she has a question, then yeah.
She says, don't worry, she's on.
Oh, that's true. She's on, so she can hear me. Kimberly, not compulsory at all, but somebody yesterday asked if I would please allow you to be on the meet, and said person is not on the meet today, so I'm not sure where said person is. You're welcome to email me questions, Kimberly. Thank you, Mrs. Page.
She's typing.
But I do think that it's equidistant whether you go that way or whether you go that way.
No, it's further that way.
You have to walk through the car park when you're going down there. You have to walk up and forward.
But if you go this way, are you going along that? What's it? Hypotenuse.
No, I don't do maths.
It's okay, I'm mathematically challenged. Is that a hypotenuse?
Well, you're not in the right angle triangle.
No, but you would be if you considered the hall and the... So, there's the hall, there's the art block. Do you walk along the hypotenuse?
No, that's the adjacent.
Yeah. No, but she's saying like we have the hall here, right? There's a hall. There's the...
That's that.
So, now that it's really the same distance, Connor. I do think.
Remember, I mean for science. Yeah, so let's go down there. We have to go all the way.
Oh, I understand. Oh. So there was chat at one stage of the game, when the matrics first came back. Somebody suggested, but we've never been... 3 minutes, 10 seconds. I should have actually put a good bet on this, like a chocolate bet.
Kim says thank you. Kim asked me to
There was talk at one stage of the game of making the lawns the other direction. So if these two corridors went this way, that the lawn was a one way in the other direction. So that you could just go onto the lawn and go back and join. But I don't know what happened to that.
So if you have two things in like C block, technically you have to go up or all the way around. So you come back in downstairs.
But it's probably got something to do with stairs, because if we go down here, people are going to come up, and that's what they want to avoid.
Yeah.
Because you have to come down the stairs to where it's going to
I
launch.
don't think you really
Yeah.
bump into. Yeah. Okay, right, we're going. We're going. Just checking if you're eating.
Can I?
May I?
May I please?
No. I tell you what, I'll pretend I don't notice. Okay, right. Everybody happy with this structure? Sure. Okay, all right. Moving on. Okay, so we've spoken about that, So this, for example, shows that when a neuron is young, when it's not really, it hasn't been around for very long, then the Schwann cell is still very small, and therefore the Schwann cell takes a little while, and I can't tell you in terms of like number of months, number of years, to be able to wrap around an axon. And then as the neuron ages, it wraps more and more times around until eventually it would be, if you cut a cross-section through it, and this is the same as that, 1 would be the axon, 4 would be the myelin sheath, because it's layers and layers and layers of the cell membrane of, no, I'm sure I said if I don't notice, and all I can hear is rustle, rustle.
Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, go. Really said go. What are you eating? Oh, that's so mean. Does even eat something that looks so amazing in front of me? Okay, so that would then be the cytoplasm of the Schwann cell. That would be the nucleus of the Schwann cell. Okay, there is a name for the membrane of the Schwann cell. In fact, the outer membrane of any part of a neuron, be it up here or around the cell body or around the axon or around the Schwann cell, that cell membrane is always called the neurolemma. Don't obsess about it. Okay, that's the one thing you don't really have to. I don't think I would ask you that. Okay. Right, we're happy about that. Okay, we're happy about myelin sheath. There we go, I didn't make it. Right. Then the point of the nodes of Ranvier. Okay. So a node of Ranvier, this is in the plural because the labels go to two of them. But remember, if you label a single one, your label must be in the singular. Then you would call it node of Ranvier. And your label line would go to one of those. And what happens is that when an impulse passes along an axon or dendrites, okay, it doesn't matter where it's going. When the impulse passes along a neuron, it passes along as something that is, and I'm going to say electrical, it's not 100% electrical. When you go to VAS 10, you learn to be a neurosurgeon. When you go, Mrs. Page said it was electrical. It's not entirely electrical, it's not quite the same thing. But what actually happens is it's very much like an electrical current, okay? And the impulse passes along the outer membrane, in other words, the neurolemma, until it reaches a part where there is myelin sheath or Schwann cells. And then what it does is it actually jumps from node of Ranvier to node of Ranvier. So it doesn't go along here. What it does is it jumps from here to there, to there, to there. And therefore, it moves far more quickly than it would if it had to go that entire length. So by jumping from node of Ranvier to node of Ranvier to node of Ranvier, it actually goes more quickly than it would do if there wasn't Schwann cells and myelin sheaths. What's the matter? Did you just drop off to sleep there?
No, man, you said it goes quicker, right? But how? Because the distance is the same.
But it jumps.
Jumps how, man? Like,
So if you had to walk from here to here, and you had to cover that exact distance, and you walk, okay, it would take a particular speed. Now, I'm not going to risk my life and my old age hips. If you jumped, if you went spring, spring, spring,
you will go quicker.
you would go more quickly.
I understand.
Okay. Pleasure. Sorry, I couldn't demonstrate it. Okay, right. Everybody happy? All right. Okay. So the purpose of a myelin sheath is to increase the speed of conduction of impulses along the myelinated fiber, because the impulses jump from one node of Ranvier to the next. Okay. Now, you're going to see at some stage of the game, and remember I said to you that when I started going through PowerPoints with you, I said, if I've written something in blue, you don't have to know it. Okay. So this isn't blue, you don't have to know it. And so the terminology used for the passage of impulse is they talk about depolarization and repolarization, and don't obsess. Okay, but if you see that somewhere, then you know that that means an impulse is passing along. So first of all, depolarization occurs and then repolarization. Don't obsess. Okay, so here you see the impulse is jumping. So it talks about a depolarized region, and then when the impulse moves on, it will become repolarized. Depolarized, repolarized, etc., and the impulse jumps. Okay, all right. The result of damage to or loss of myelin. And this is, we're going to talk a little bit at the end of this section about diseases or disorders of the nervous system. And one of the things that happens is it's possible for the myelin sheath surrounding neurons to be damaged or destroyed. Oh, neurons are also called nerve fibers. Not the correct scientific word for a neuron. But if I say to you nerve fibers, I'm talking about neurons. Okay. So the transmission of nerve impulses is slowed down or in fact might be blocked. Okay. The impulse now has to flow continuously along the whole. So walk, 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 not jump, jump, jump. Okay. Along the whole thing, and it's a process that is much slower than jumping from node of Ranvier to node of Ranvier. Okay, so multiple sclerosis, which is abbreviated as MS, is a disease where the immune system actually attacks the myelin. So the body's own immune system attacks the myelin, and the myelin sheaths are destroyed as a result. And thus nerve impulses travelling to and from the brain and spinal cord are distorted or interrupted. Remember I spoke about dissipated. They might not get to where they're going to, producing a wide variety of symptoms. And then blue, the disease is thought to be triggered in a genetically susceptible individual by a combination of one or more environmental factors. So if a person has the genes for it, multiple sclerosis, and environmental factors trigger the activation of those genes, and then what will happen is that multiple sclerosis will occur. Okay. Did you learn about the classification of neurons last year? Sorry, I worded that badly. I said, did you learn about it? What I meant is, were you taught about it?
Yes.
Which is very different from, did you learn it? Because apparently you didn't. Okay, I will go through it briefly for you. Okay. So, neurons can be classified in 3 different ways. And you need to know the following 2 ways. So neurons can be classified according to their function and position in the nervous system. So remember here when I said to you, okay, there are neurons which transmit impulses towards the central nervous system. They've got a particular position because they're transmitting impulses in that direction, and they've got a particular function. Okay. They also have a particular structure. Anyway, so let's go. Okay. So neurons can be classified according to their function and the position in the nervous system. So they are transmitting impulses from a sense organ towards the brain and spinal cord. So that's their function, and their position would be in a nerve transmitting an impulse that way. And secondly, neurons can be classified according to their structure. So you learned in grade 10 that neurons can be classified, and I'm first of all going to deal with the structure. So what you do is you look how many processes total enter or leave the cell body. And I'll deal with one for you. So if you look at my beautiful drawing here, I have, and remember a process is a sticky output here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A total of 5. That makes this a multipolar neuron. Okay. If you look at this one, there is one going straight into the cell body. I don't count all of these because they join together and form one. So I'm going to count this as 1. And then there's a single axon leaving the cell body. So that's 2. That makes this a bipolar neuron. Has nothing to do with a bipolar disorder. Okay, nothing to do with bipolar disorder. It's to do with how many processes enter and leave the cell body. Okay? Bipolar neurons are very limited in their distribution in the human body. So if I ask you to name a particular neuron in this place or in this place, don't plug in the word bipolar, because I'm very unlikely to ask you a bipolar neuron. Okay, this one. All these dendrites join together and they make one structure, which you may, like for this one, you may also call it a dendrite. So you can call it a dendrite, you can call it a dendrite, or you can call it a dendron. Okay, both are acceptable. So there's a dendron, so all these dendrites join together and they form one dendron. And outside the cell body, that dendron is joined with the axon that is leaving, that is transmitting impulses away from the cell body. So for that short distance outside the cell body, those two things are joined together. And so if I say to you, total how many processes enter or leave the cell body, simply wake up, it's just 1. And therefore this is a unipolar neuron. So multipolar, bipolar, unipolar. All right, everybody happy with that? Okay. All right, so that would be if neurons were classified according to their structure. Okay, I'm going back. If I classify them according to their function and position, sensory or afferent neurons transmit impulses from a sense organ towards the brain or spinal cord. Okay, you happy with that? Okay. Brain and spinal cord are made of, and there are like 20 different words for the same thing. Interneuron or relay neuron or connecting neuron or connector neuron. Okay. They lie within the brain or spinal cord and they form the majority of the tissue of the central nervous system. And then motor or efferent neurons transmit impulses from the central nervous system towards an effector organ. So, this would be a sensory or afferent, and that would be motor or efferent, and these would be inter or relay or connector or connecting, would be in the central nervous system. Are you all okay with that? All right. So tomorrow, you go to Mrs. Florence's room and you, Kimberly, okay, and you, I will set the work for you on your daily planner thing. Okay, learn this work and you're learning photosynthesis and cell respiration because your test is set, and as soon as I can put it in, I will give it to you. Okay.
Now, you will tell us
No, I would never do that. What's the point of that? Then I've got to mark crap. No. Life is too short for that. And I will give you reasonable warning. I'm not going to tell you the day before. It's just that I am telling you now that you need to do that learning. Okay. All right. Are you taking over? Or are we leaving it for Natasha? She's good.